Welcome to episode 306 of the Centering Esports podcast presented by Alt. And this is going to be the best episode ever as we dive into our top 5 reasons on why Counter-Strike is the worst, but also the best esport out there. Also have a little bit of e-news to get to, as well as afterwards recording our brand new Call of Duty show for our YouTube. So just a friendly reminder, check that out as well. But before we get to any of that, got to tell you about the show's sponsor in Alt Gaming. Alt is the #1 esports brand apparel. Oh my God, Anuj is putting it on. He is all about the dramatics. Purposely did not tell me he bought their brand new Reset tie-dye hoodie. He's putting it on and instantly, Anuj, I'm horny. I first did not find you attractive at all, and then you put on the Alt hoodie, and I'm pitching a tent over here now. So
how does it look?
That's
How
just
does it look?
the power of Alt. It looks beautiful, fits you perfect, as most Alt apparel does. It's, I would say, it's true to size, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like this is a medium, so this is probably I should have probably gone with the large, but this is a medium here.
I mean, it fits you well. Shoulders
it fits
look
very
good.
well. Yeah, fits very well.
Looks.
It's funny. So this was a planned stunt for you.
I figured it was.
I reached out to Nate and I was like, look, Tim is a tie-dye whore. Okay? And Tim got all this Dallas Empire.
As I have tie-dye on.
As he has a tie-dye on now. And I was like, Tim has all this Dallas Empire gear and he's looking fresh all the time. Throw me one of these beautiful looking hoodies. I need to represent this on the show and surprise Tim as I'm rocking it. He said,
It looks
I got
good.
you, Bam.
Now I'm jealous. Now I will have to spend actual money to get it. So, touche.
Use code TCR.
Yep, and then I'll get a discount. So touche on that one. It works. Product placements work, Anuj. It's looks brilliant. Go to altesports.com and pick yours up today.
Hello guys, I'm Apex from G2 Esports and now you're listening to The Centering.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to episode 306 of the Centering Esports Podcast, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 306 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, February 10th, 2021. The time, 9:05 p.m. Central Time. Follow us on Twitter at The Centering, our website, tcr.gg. It's got some blog posts on there, more to come. You can also follow us on Discord and all that fun stuff. We have Jay in chat. Hey, Jay. Miss you. Love you. We should play sometime. Let's play WoW sometime. And all that fun stuff. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend, my friend that betrayed me and got a free tie-dye hoodie. It's a new
Your stylish friend.
You do look good. That's why I can't be too mad, because you do
You
look
can't
good.
be upset. Like
No.
it is a beautiful looking hoodie. Like I'm
And-
absolutely loving it.
Probably like the first tie-dye thing you've ever owned.
It actually, I'm not even joking. It is. I can't remember a time where I've owned anything tie dye. It's not something like we also did it. Like I know people did it as activities, like as fun,
Oh, yeah.
kind of like.
Oh, definitely. I was part of that fun group.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I'm sure I made a shirt, but it's not something I ever really wore.
Which is
I'm happy though, fam. This looks good. Like I feel really, I feel part of the club.
given our lifestyle choices, I would assume should be reversed. I should own no tie-dye and you should own the tie-dye. But funny enough, I was painted with a brush in high school of being a stoner, as the kids say, Anuj. Because I would show up with my washed out blue jeans with holes in them and moccasins and tie-dye shirts and
Long curly hair.
yeah, just shaggy hair, and it looked like I barely could keep my eyes open.
You can't be upset with anyone for thinking that.
No.
Your eyes were bloodshot because you were living on Red Bull and
That's right.
Halo.
That's right. Everyone was like, man, your eyes are like halfway open all the time. I thought you were high. No. This is just what 2 hours of sleep will do to you.
This is what Halo 3 until 5 a.m. is gonna
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. No, sorry. Sorry to disappoint. But no, tie-dye is always a... I also have noticed, just given trends, I'm a fashionista, as I wear a little nice old man sweater and tie-dye right now.
Cardigan.
Yeah. Tie-dye is coming back.
Tie-dye is back.
Like, everyone has some type of tie-dye apparel.
It's funny because I see a lot of it on TikTok also. Like people that are always making they take the Nike sweaters is kind of like the common one that they always take, and they do like all these their own custom tie-dyes on it.
Yeah.
It looks so badass. Like I definitely think tie-dye is back. I think
Yeah.
there's a reason that Alt made tie-dye apparel for a reason. Like they also know what's in style and what's trending
And is it a
creating
coincidence
trends.
that it's back when I wear it on stream? Like, I feel like I'm kind of a trendsetter right now. Like, 100 Thieves, like, Nadeshot definitely watches the stream and was like, my God, who is this gorgeous man with a mustache and tie-dye shirt?
It worked out well that you had your tie-dye shirt on today. It's funny because I turned my camera on and I forgot that I was wearing the hoodie because it's also cold in my office. And so I had to quickly turn my camera off and take it off on the side there.
Anuj, if I could ask, can I ask the listeners for one thing? And I know we don't ask them for a lot. In fact, half the time we forget to promote our Patreon that we now have, which you can find the link in our Twitch about and Twitter description. So if you want to support the show, $5, $10 a month, whatever, you can do that through Patreon. But we don't ask for much. So if I could ask the listeners for one thing here and now, and that is for your thoughts and prayers for Anuj. Because people might not know this about Anuj, but if it's below 75 degrees, he's complaining that it's too cold.
Dude, it is miserable today. And then I opened up the app.
It will be, the low for Monday is 1. 1 degree.
The good news is I can survive right now because we're not going into the office anyway.
True.
So I can live in my house for a few days. Like this is Texas winter coming through is what this is.
Yeah.
This is normal. So if you're not from around here and it's your first time here, I know a lot of people are visiting here from the COD community.
Yeah, all these guys coming over from LA are like, what the hell?
Yeah. No, this is exactly what happened during the Super Bowl.
Toronto's here thinking, what the shit? We just left Canada. Now, he says this is Texas winter, which is very true, but that's like again, it's like we get this maybe one night a year where it's just this crazy stretch of bitter. And look, I don't care. Like, people are like, well, Tim, I thought you were from the north. I am. I'm Michigan through and through. Cold is cold. Like, the feels like it's 16 degrees. Like, it.
1 degree is cold.
Like,
doesn't matter where you're from.
I don't care who you are. That's ridiculous.
That's
I don't
really
care how
cold.
cool you want to be wearing shorts and flip-flops going to the grocery store. It's cold. It's cold. I like it. I get to cuddle up and wear sweaters and just, watch sports and esports all day as my child smacks me in the face with his toys. But, it's good esports weather. It's a good excuse to stay inside. Thankfully, that is one nice thing about Texas is we kind of get excuses year-round because either it's extremely cold or extremely hot.
Extremely hot, yeah.
Like, sorry, I would love to go outside, but it's either 1 degree or 113. So, welcome to Texas. All right, Anuj, the topic for today. I pitched this idea to you, and it's kind of a brilliant one because we can recycle it with multiple esports throughout the show whenever we don't have anything else to talk about, which happens, so be it today. Don't have much to talk about. I want to go over with you through esports, reasons 4, 5, 6, whatever reasons we can think of on why a particular esports scene is the worst and the best. And the reason I say both is because I feel like in esports, we have a tendency to cast stones at people from different scenes. Not so much us, because we watch it all and we kind of support and, we appreciate esports on this show. Not necessarily.
We're not looking for failure.
Yeah, right. Not one or the other. All our eggs are not in one basket. We want all, rising tide ships, something.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
You get me.
Yeah.
So the last week or so, this happened where Blizzard announced that Overwatch 2 was not coming out this year. And of course, the memes and everyone laughing and poking fun at the Overwatch community and the Overwatch fans that are in denial. And, you see them on Reddit where they're like, no, this is good. This is good. That means they're really trying. And, it's okay. It's okay. And it's like, whatever helps you sleep at night, Overwatch fans, whatever gets you through the day. But then right around the corner, what do we have? Automatic jumping ship from CS to Valorant. And all of a sudden, these CS kids that just made fun of Overwatch for 48 hours are now in the crosshair on their end. And it got me thinking, is every esports scene just in shambles in their own special way? Like, doesn't it kind of feel like at any given moment, your favorite esport could be in the crosshairs of death at any given moment?
I think it's just the nature of competition, right? Everybody wants to be the best, whether that's you as an individual player in the game, or if you're talking about your favorite athlete or your favorite team, like your favorite sport, it's all kind of the same premise, right? So I don't think it's any different here than any other aspect of sports. Everybody wants their sport to be the best. It's easier to see the metrics right now within esports, right? So you can really, the NFL can really kind of shit on everybody, but there's others that are a lot closer, and in esports it's so divided. You have your heavy hitters, and then you have everybody else that's kind of trying to catch up. And so I think everyone has their problems. That's the important thing, right? No esport is perfect. They're all still growing. They can all still do a lot better in so many avenues, right? From player associations to scheduling. I mean, there's just 100 things that they can all do better. And so I think this is just a good way to tell you the good and the bad, right? That, hey, your esport is awesome because of these reasons, or your esports has its issues because of these reasons. And I want to hear input from you guys on this too. I want to know, is there something that we left off of this list that we should have discussed? Is there another reason that we should really dislike, this esport for this reason? I'm really curious. I want this to be, interactive and hear from you guys. So feel free to just tweet at us that or whatever. You hit us up on email, but I would love to know the thoughts that we would have here.
Because I'm sure there is something that we missed. I mean, we kind of threw this list together off top of our heads of okay, what do we love? What do we not like about, in this case, CS? So
it's what we felt, it's what we thought was the best or the worst reasons. And again, I think it's going to be hard to disagree with a lot of these.
Yeah. So I guess, do you want to start with the best or the worst?
Ooh, they're both pretty easy. Are we going top to bottom? If we go top to bottom, just go best.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth.
All right. So here it is to start off with the reasons on why Counter-Strike is the best esport / game out there.
Go worst, because I want the last one to be last for best.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to flip it. We're going to flip it.
All right. Flipping it.
That's a fun one to end on. I like that.
Okay. All right. So start with worst.
Yeah, start with worst.
All right. So here are some reasons on why Counter-Strike is the worst esport out there and why it is dying. So first reason on the worst side of things, Anuj. We've talked about it on the show multiple times, and I think it's hard to disagree. It has one of the worst matchmaking experiences out there for players, whether it be casual, pro, doesn't matter if you are Silver 1 or Global Elite. The opinions are the same across the board. It's the worst first-party matchmaking that video games have to offer.
It's absolutely terrible. It's just one of the reasons why we don't even like to go back that often, because you're dealing with so much nonsense within Counter-Strike's matchmaking system. You also come back always feeling like a scrub because of where they put you in your ranks, and you don't feel like you're playing with people like the elo system, right? You don't feel like you're matched up generally with people either at your level or they're significantly better, right? There's not like that in between ground, the balance that you see. But for a game that's like so focused as an esport, like I mean, 90% of what Counter Strike is an esport, right? And to not have a matchmaking system in place that doesn't require you to use third party softwares, it really blows my mind. And I hope the push from Valorant, becoming big in their space, makes them make some of these adjustments. Because this is an easy fix, right? Like, isn't it?
There's enough games out there to where I feel like at this point you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I feel like that's what Valve is like. When people tell Valve, hey, you need to fix matchmaking, in their heads, they're like, okay, guys, how can we revolutionize matchmaking? That's not what we're asking. We're just asking you to copy and paste from another game's idea. Like it doesn't have to be revolutionary. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just make it playable. Do seasons, right? You don't have to have a battle pass and upgrades and skins tied to that. Just do a season to reset ranks after a while so people can get refreshed and kind of get back to where they need to be, so you don't have guys like Anuj and I who were LEM at one point and now we're playing like silver elite matches because we don't play as often, but yet clearly still have like
I shouldn't be able to go back after like 3 months of not playing and destroy a server, like a destroy
right.
a lobby, right? Or again, the flip side, you also don't want to be on the other end where you're matched up against people extraordinarily better, but it doesn't feel right, I guess is the important thing.
I saw on Reddit just yesterday where someone was saying how him and his buddies are new to Counter-Strike and they loved it, like playing custom servers and everything. They're confident enough in their ability to jump into matchmaking, and they're like, we get hackers every single game. There are people just destroying us. And every comment was like, if you're in Prime, the sad thing is that's probably not hackers. It's probably just people who don't play very often to keep their rank up. So you're probably just playing against super high ranked people and you're a legit silver elite, new to the game, like to no fault of your own. So matchmaking experience, the worst.
Well, like at the high end, it's all hackers. And so then you have real players making Smurfs. So then you have Smurfs in every single rank, littered everywhere. It's just a jumbled mess.
Agreed. Next on the worst, on why Counter-Strike is the worst. Lack of dev support, lack of communication, and lack of Gaben. In fact, I don't even know if Gaben knows Counter-Strike exists anymore at this point. But when was the last time you've seen a game? I've seen like indie games have more support from their developers when it comes to putting in money, putting in the effort, putting in the foundation into their esports scene, let alone just from a casual gaming standpoint. Counter-Strike doesn't get it from any angles. They have no communication or support from esports or the casual side of things.
They still don't have a community manager after all these years, somebody to just communicate with the community, right? I mean, shoot, if Jay is still in chat, like that would be a good option. Maybe reach out to him. But seriously, like I don't understand why they refuse to communicate. Like it is a refusal, is what it feels like, right? They know that it upsets everybody. Like they know that people are just dying for more information to kind of know what are the plans, like some sort of roadmap. We don't have any of that. And then the lack of dev support is shown, even with the first part of the discussion of experience being trash. That's also the fact that they have like 3 developers or something, not even that many at all times actively working on CS.
And it's one of those things too where you have like some people are like, well, it's just Valve, right? That's just how they are. But it's not the case, because we have a perfect example right across the hallway with Dota. And it's night and day difference on how Valve treats Dota and how Valve treats their other games, right? I feel for the TF2 community at this point. Like they look at Counter-Strike fans and say, "You guys are complaining about no love."
No, we're spoiled.
Right. They look at Counter-Strike and think, "My God, you guys are royalty with how you're treated." But and I know there's a lot of people, like a lot of talking heads on CS side, who they'll tell you, Anuj, like, we don't need Gaben. Who cares if he's going to events? Who cares if he's going to the majors? Don't need him. Don't want him. And I say to that is, first off, you're lying to yourself. You're making yourself feel better saying that you know what? I'm okay that you broke up with me because I didn't like you anyways. Right? This is good for me. Anuj, this is essentially to where if you are a parent of 2 kids and you only go to one of their soccer games on the weekends, like, of course it's going to matter. Like, there's no doubt that matters, that he's only focusing with Dota.
It gets brought up so much that it bothers you. I mean, if it didn't bother you, people really wouldn't discuss that fact, And yeah, like it sucks that you know that you were second fiddle to another game, right? Like we know that. Like in this discussion, we're talking about like where maybe esports almost kind of ranks, right? This is where this ultimately takes us. We talk about the best and the worst. And like one thing that CS will never have is like knowing that you are the favorite of your own developer. Like it's just never going to happen. And in Gaben's, it's almost like a joke now that he hasn't shown up. Like, why wouldn't you just do it for the sake of doing it one time?
The
Like
longest
Gaben's
reason
been living in this COVID world for the last 20 years, like he just doesn't want to attend events for us.
And I mean, they've had him in NA. Before it was always like the excuse of like, well, they're always in EU. There's nothing in NA, but we've had 3 or 4 majors now in North America. So he's had opportunities. They've had opportunities to really step it up, but just falling short over and over and over again.
Do you think people would cheer or boo if he walked through the stadium now?
I think people would cheer because I think the majority of people just. I bet you a majority of the fans.
I think people would cheer too.
Yeah,
I think there would be a group of people booing, but
Yeah.
I think majority of people would be happy if he showed up.
Perfect segue into the next reason on why Counter-Strike is the worst. Because I can tell you, Anuj, who would be booing him. And that is the small minority, but loud minority with Counter-Strike. And that is the elitist mentality that's behind a member of the fans and big talking heads within Counter-Strike. It is hard-pressed to find. I would even say worse than League of Legends. On how many talking heads have their heads so far up Counter-Strike's ass. Like, CS could do nothing wrong. The scene of CS could do nothing wrong in their eyes. It is always better than, insert esport or game. And I feel like that's off-putting to a lot of people. Even within CS, even to us, I know to you and I, it can be very off-putting with how some people kind of view Counter-Strike as this holier-than-now game, and, how dare you even put it in the same breath as other esports out there. And to me, it's the worst.
So, I'm okay with them thinking they're the best, right? Because in my opinion, I think Counter-Strike is the best also. So that part, I can't fault anybody for. What I don't like is almost more the bashing of other titles, right? Specifically Overwatch and now Valorant. Like we've seen that carry over, right? So Overwatch wasn't just a one-off type situation. Like now that's carried over into pure Valorant hatred. I don't like that. Like that to me, as for the community, is the wrong way to approach it. But people are passionate about esports, and this is something that comes out sometimes when you're overly passionate or whatever. But yeah, like I don't like just the bashing of others. I have no problem with thinking you're the best, right? And having every reason to believe you are the best. Counter-Strike can list 100, we're gonna list 5 or 6 ourselves. And so it's just there's that line that gets crossed too often, unfortunately. I think from important figureheads within the Counter-Strike community, right? Like these guys hold like they're part of the history of Counter-Strike, and unfortunately for, you know, their voices also kind of carry as the majority a lot of times, and so that's why I don't like that approach.
Another reason why Counter-Strike is dying. It's the worst. Anuj, it pains me to say this about our game, about our baby. But then again, there's a reason it's our baby. It's kind of turned into the boomer shooter. I feel like old people, like kids look at Counter-Strike thinking that's for old people.
It's 100% true. Like, we've even had people say that to us at DreamHack, you know, like, it's just, it it is. I mean, the
And that's
game's been
before
around
Valorant.
forever. Yeah, like that was before Valorant came out. It was the boomer shooter, and now it's, you know, and anybody that's jumping in is probably going to Valorant first, just because even from a mental standpoint, you feel like you have a better chance because the game is newer, right? When you think Counter Strike, and then you think, oh, well, this iteration of Counter Strike is like 6, 7 years old, but the game as a whole is 20 plus years old. Um, that's intimidating also to like enter into that world. Uh, I think that's why people are always willing to jump into new BRs. You know, like you want to almost feel like the playing field is a little bit more level. People haven't memorized all the hot spots, and it's something new to try. So Counter Strike is the boomer shooter, but I'm okay with that. It's still, you know, the shooter most people's opinion. So it is. I'm not
But
going to even deny it.
like
It's hard to deny that. That's such a fact, you know.
yeah,
Like
right.
it is so
And it
true.
kind of
Even the
falls
people that
into,
play it are older, Tim, like
it,
the professionals.
and I'd say though that kind of also falls into like the lack of developer support though. Like it kind of ties into that where all these other games like Fortnite or Valorant or all these newer BR games, they have so many flashy lights. You know, they have battle passes with crazy skins and all this color just getting thrown at your face, and oh, here, open up this loot box, and oh man, look at all this happening. And Counter-Strike is just so compared to those, bland. Like they have skins and they look awesome and all that fun stuff, but they're not like Fortnite skins. You know, they don't they're not even like Valorant skins where like they kind of just reinvent the gun themselves. It's
No, it's literally looked like somebody painted on a gun,
Yeah.
right? So they give it that realistic kind of look. I'm okay with them going the other way with it too. Just so you know, as a boomer, like if they wanted to make it flashy and like make the guns a little bit flashier, like I might be interested in seeing what it looks like. I like
see.
skins, so I got money to spend now on them. I didn't have it when I was younger.
Right. Right. At least with Counter-Strike, you can sell the skins too. So when you decide that you
Yeah,
want to move on,
yeah.
um,
Like the Dragon Lore is one of my favorite, and I think
but
it's because it
again,
just
that's such a boomer thing to think of, is financially planning for the future of, hey, how are you going to resell that skin? Right? Kids nowadays are like, what? Just buy it. Who cares? Where we're like, well, what's your return on investment with that, son? Like,
Does Valorant have a return thing to where you could get some credits back for a skin or
no,
anything like that?
I don't think so.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but no, I don't think so. Last but not least, one of the reasons why Counter-Strike is the worst, and this might be confusing to some, but I'll let you explain it, Anuj, because this is yours. The map pool.
Yeah, this is purely from a esports standpoint. Okay, so this is where this is coming from. I think it gets really stale. You know, and when I say that, when I'm talking about the map pool, the way it works for Counter Strike is their competitive scene has 7 maps that go in rotation that the pro players can play on. And so Counter Strike's map pool occasionally will get a minor adjustment to it. When I say minor, like a one in, one out type situation. It's never an overhaul of the
And
map pool.
and by occasionally, he means like once every 2 years.
Yeah, like if that, you know, like it's really crazy. So it has been a long time since Counter Strike has had an adjustment to the map pool outside of Vertigo, which is a terrible map. I know you kind of have started
Yeah, I've
to
come around
grow
a
on it a
little
little
bit.
bit. It is just A side has had like no changes, and it's the same stupid situation that you constantly see of the cluster that takes place right on top of the site where all the smokes go out to block visibility. Like they've added a map and it's not a good map. And I think that's the consensus for most people when it comes to Vertigo. They have other maps in play. They have other developers that have made maps for them that are significantly better than some of the maps we have in play, or would at least be worth a chance to throw into the map pool. And this ties back into lack of them not caring, I don't feel, is this has been hounded on for years. Years. This is not a new topic. There have been developers that own maps that have said, hey, we would be okay giving Valve the rights for money, obviously, but we haven't even been contacted by them. And so there's things that they could do to make it feel fresh, to take away this boomer shooter stigma by having new maps that everybody has to get adjusted to. Like if you're good at aiming in video games, you would enjoy Counter Strike, and you might be more willing to try it if something feels like all of a sudden seasons are introduced along with, hey, we're going to rotate a new map in and out at the start of each season, and one new map will come in. Like there's so many things they could do to make it exciting, yet we stay with this bland ass map pool and a map that nobody likes that's now been added to it. Cash has been sitting there in the waiting for over a year now that hasn't been introduced. So to me, the map pool is like probably the worst thing on this list because that directly affects, I think, the esports product by not giving it like just a lively, just a little pep,
Like a little facelift.
just a little something, a little facelift. Not telling you to change this game. We love the game the way it is, but it could be fresh for everybody.
And it speaks volume because some, not all, I don't even know if you can say most, but some of the pros that have moved over from CS to Valorant are directly saying, like, it's just gotten stale. Like, it's just, I need something new. I've played Counter-Strike every day for the last 5+ years, and I need something new. And who knows, maybe rotation of maps is all they needed, right? Because with Counter-Strike, you can't do a whole lot, but that's one of the things you can do.
The flip side to that argument, though, is always going to be, well, if they had an opportunity to play Counter-Strike at a high level, then they would still be playing Counter-Strike, which I think is also true, right? Like if they were playing Counter-Strike at a tier 1 level, like half of TSM, right? If those guys were signed to like Astralis, Fnatic, Liquid, Cloud9, in Evil Geniuses, like any of those 5 were on those teams, they were not leaving Counter-Strike for Valorant. So there's a part of that will always kind of carry over with most of these players. I don't think all, but most will have that counter argument to that. But yes, I'm sure it did get old to grind the same game day in and day out with very minor changes, and you don't see a way to like overcome like some of these hurdles that have maybe been set, and you're waiting for like a change to kind of do that, like something to kind of give you that extra energy you need to get over the hump. And so I think it could be a little bit of both there.
So there you have it, our reasons. And like we said, I'm sure there are more. I'm sure there are more that we missed. Leave them in the comments, Discord, Twitter, whatever. Let us know why you feel CS is the worst esport out there. There really is no wrong answer because this is purely opinionated based information. But that is our quick worst reasons on why CS sucks. All right, so let's move on to the opposite side of the spectrum, though, on why CS is the absolute best, Anuj. Now, we've talked about multiple times on the show that it is, to us, for our money's worth, the best esport out there. Haven't played it in some time, just for other reasons of games and time and things like that. Mainly reasons on why we said it was the worst, right? But that doesn't change the fact that it is one of the best esports and still just games out there to pick up and play. So let's go over some of our reasons on why it is the best. Much like what I was just saying, to me, and it's almost weird to think, but when you think of all the other shooters out there, Rainbow Six, Siege, I should say, because they've kind of tricked it up with their classes and things like that. Apex Legends, Overwatch, Valorant even, which is, close to a CS clone, if you want to call it that. What other shooters am I missing out here? But you get what I'm saying. Fortnite, if you want to throw it on there, whatever. It is the closest to me as a bare bones shooter as you're going to get in the year 2021.
Yeah, there's no like fluff to the game.
Yeah.
It's
No abilities, no classes. Anyone can buy the same guns, apart from T or CT sided, depending on what you get. But there's
It's
no,
what Valorant bragged to be when they said like the shooting matters in this game. Like Counter-Strike, that's all that real. I mean,
yeah,
there's other aspects of the game that you have to be good at with movement and not map knowledge and all that stuff. But if you are just it's just shoot, point and click,
yeah.
and that's kind of the beauty of Counter-Strike. And yeah, I mean, it is one of the,
It's a
there's a
perfect
reason it's been around for 20 plus years, Tim, is because it's like that style never will get old because it's just true to form. And, they give it enough fluff with each update in the sense of making it look visually better and all that, that the same gameplay style with just a little bit enhanced graphics is enough.
it's a perfect balance too of like kind of like an arcade shooter but also realistic, right? Like it's not realistic in the sense of I wouldn't call it like a simulator. Um like what's that army game?
Battlefield or something?
Yeah, but even those have kind of turned into more arcadey. There's an army game on
Squadron or something?
Squad or I think it's called Squad
Yeah.
or something. Like that is like an army simulator. Like 2 shots you're down. That is realistic. Arma, right? Those are all army simulators, very realistic shooters. Counter-Strike still is realistic in the sense of like real guns, the shooting and everything will feel like you're, recoil control, things like that. But there's also just enough to where you're not beating your head. You can still do quick turnaround shots. You can still do fun things. And that's where, like Anuj was saying, the shooting matters. You can't just pump people in their kneecaps and get the kill. Someone can outshoot you, right? So
Yeah.
to me, it's that perfect balance of arcade meets realism, no abilities, no, you don't have to necessarily, like, when was the last time you had to worry about like balancing issues in Counter-Strike? Like, and
The
even,
R8.
and even that was like so over the top, like it was like quickly like GA'd, right?
There's been eras that people will talk about, right? Like we'll have looking back in time, we'll have this AUG era that we just had, in the SSG and all that, and then
But even that's just overpowered. It's
yeah,
different than like Valorant or Overwatch, where it was like, oh my god, this hero's ability is just ridiculous.
yeah,
Or even
yeah.
like if comparing it to MOBAs, things like that. It's
Like that only mattered on the 1% level,
right.
you know.
Like the balancing issues with Counter-Strike are completely different than when you hear balancing issues on other games. And it's just
Yeah,
really realistically, it's just the way it's designed. It's a very straightforward, easy to pick up, relatively easy to learn, apart from what we were saying with the matchmaking system, but you can easily go into custom matches and things like that. It's very easy to play.
yeah. But the flip side of that is like kind of going back to one of the worst reasons of lack of developer support when you don't do a ton of like when you don't try to make a lot of changes, you're not going to have to deal with a lot of meta issues, right? Like it's very
Sure.
rare that they make very minor tweaks, and proven formula. I think at this point is part of that, but um, yeah, like their opinion, if it's not broken, don't try and fix it, right? So they just leave it as is, and when they see a big problem, they'll jump in, but it's
Maybe.
very rare. Yeah, maybe
Maybe.
they'll wait a little bit, but they'll jump in eventually.
They'll wait for everyone else to do the investigation and then punish the players.
Yeah.
That's kind of their MO. Next reasons though, kind of going into though of it being a very simple shooter, very bare bones, shoot head shooter, and it kind of leads right into this is more on the esports side of it, but as a viewer, the viewing experience, I think to me sets the bar for how if you were watching an esport, it's how you want to watch an FPS esport. Very easy to follow. It's the perfect pace of some rounds can be slow, some rounds can be fast, but even the fast rounds are not like Overwatch fast. Like Overwatch fast, you blink and you're like, what the hell just happened? Hell, even if you don't blink, even if you're watching intently and you play the game, you're like, what the hell just happened? With Counter-Strike, very easy to watch. You can even watch it with someone who's never played the game, never followed esports. I've watched it with my parents and in-laws and things like that, and they generally get what's happening. Offense, defense, things like that. Very easy to watch.
Terrorist, counter-terrorist, Tim. It's easier for the father-in-law to understand that way.
Freedom fighters, the bad guys.
Yeah, it's easier to say terrorist, counter-terrorist with the father-in-law than offense, defense. No,
is that getting too close to real sports where he's like, what?
We start to get into like having to explain too much, but I say, hey, look, these guys are counter-terrorists, these guys are terrorists. He understands. We're trying to kill each other here. Like, that's it. And yeah, the premise, like, there's so many things tied to the viewing experience, right? The basicness of it. 5v5, plant the bomb, 2 bomb sites. Okay, that's that. Like, everybody gets that. I think the talent is a big part of why this viewing experience is so great, is like people have an immense amount of knowledge of Counter-Strike at this point. The game, again, being as old as it is, has allowed people to accumulate that much knowledge. And so you get, I think that you can really tell a story during a Counter-Strike round. There is enough buildup, unlike what you see in Overwatch, right? Like, you're kind of just waiting, and then all of a sudden it's this one big explosion that happens. In Counter-Strike, there's a lot of storytelling that can go on, right? With the way teams split sides to get information. Like, you can explain, hey, they're throwing this utility here to bait out and see if anyone will peek it or whatever. They're checking these angles and they're like creeping in. So you really have this storyline that happens during the viewing experience that, even if you're not a avid Counter-Strike watcher, it's almost enough to kind of explain and you understand what's going on. And there's no abilities. That's huge. When there's no abilities, think of what you're giving the viewer, right? Like, this is a AK-47 or an M4 or a sniper rifle. That's 90% of the guns right there that are used in the game. And then when you talk about utility, again, anyone with the basic understanding would know what a grenade is, what a smoke grenade is, what a Molotov or fire grenade is, what a flashbang is. Like, all of these things are very easy, and that makes for such a fun viewing experience because you don't have to think when you're watching the game, and that makes it so much better when you're just watching and you can enjoy things as they're happening. And the last thing I want to add, Tim, is I think the viewing experience is also enhanced by the fact that this game has such an awesome clutch potential to it that a lot of games lack. The ability to make that play at the end of the game that makes the difference, right? You win it or lose it for your team, or the heart rate jumping up to 180 beats per minute when you're in that one-on-one situation with the bomb down and you're in a post plant situation. Like, there's just moments in Counter-Strike that my body feels that I don't feel with other games, and maybe that's an understanding that I don't have of those games, but I really think it's just the way Counter-Strike is built is you're not thinking and you're just kind of, your emotions are reacting to what's going on in real time. You don't have to process a lot.
I think one of the beauties behind that is the fact that nothing is out of reach, right? I've kind of equated it to, like, with baseball. One of the beautiful things about baseball, and I don't get like this, like, I love baseball. Baseball's kind of boring. But one of the beautiful things behind baseball is you could be down 20-0, but you could still come back in the bottom of the ninth. There is still like that 0.1% chance of that comeback. And it's the same with Counter-Strike, where we've seen teams go up 13-1 and then lose. They'll lose 16-13. Like, you've seen it more often than not in Counter-Strike. And I think a part of that is, the game is very balanced between T and CT sided. In this, I mean, yes, some maps and everything are different, but in the sense of, like, you can't use an ability to wall off and then just let time run out, right? You can't just throw an ultimate somewhere and block off a corner and eat up 5 seconds of the game, right? With Counter-Strike, it's it's kind of balls to the wall. You nut up or shut up. You can turn the corner, jiggle peek, whatever, but you have a chance of making that insane headshot, that insane play, where with other shooters with abilities and things like that, you just don't. You don't get that chance. So I do agree. Like in Counter-Strike, you just always have that chance.
Probably gives me is the next closest game to giving me that feeling, though. Like
Well, yeah,
Valorant has a lot of that same exact clutch potential. Obviously, the abilities change that a little bit depending on like if somebody has their ultimate up and the other guy doesn't. It becomes a very percentage wise, right? It moves to like a 75-25 odds for that. Where in Counter Strike, for the most part, if they both have rifles, it's a 50-50. It feels like who's going to outplay the other one.
And the weird thing with Valorant is I feel like it's more in pugs that you run into situations like where the alties really dictate a winning round or not. I feel like pros do such a better job of managing the situation where they just don't. Like I feel like in pugs, I constantly get bodied by a Sonova ult on a bomb. But in pros, you just don't see it as often. So a little different from esports.
They use utility to gain access versus like, hey, let's save it for when we plant the bomb and throw everything on the bomb,
Yeah. So it's a tad different. But I do agree. One of the better reasons, then one reason why Counter-Strike is the best, to not get confused with the worst. Remember, map pool was worst. Iconic maps, though, is one of the best. This is almost kind of like with some Halo maps or any game out there, right? I think there's always that map from games that you've never played before, but you know it. And Counter-Strike probably has like 3 or 4 of those maps.
Yeah, and look, you can have the same thing on the best and worst part of the list. You just have to be able to make an argument to back up whatever it is you have on there. And iconic maps, no doubt about it. I mean, I have friends that have never even played Counter-Strike that know the word Dust 2. Like they just know it if they're gamers in that sense, right? They at least know the map. And there are a handful of maps that over time have just become iconic maps, right? Like you think the Dust 2s, the Inferno, comes to mind. And it's just sadly, one of them that I think is not on the list, Cubble. There's been so many iconic moments in CS:GO's history on that particular map, but there are maps feel meaningful in Counter Strike. A game like Call of Duty, a little different, right? Each year you go into a game and they're going to have 15 new maps, and they might, if you're lucky one year, they might trickle in a map or two from a previous Call of Duty to let you, experience it again because it was a good map, but it's never something that you will consistently have available to you unless you're playing an older version of the game. And so I think it means something that the maps carry over in they get used. There's some that should probably never leave the map pool unless it's being updated, and even then with a sense of urgency. But yeah, the maps are iconic in Counter-Strike, and there's maps that are not in the map pool that people consider iconic maps. Aztec is one, and there's just so many. So it's they've done a really good job of creating that history of their maps throughout time, and taking them over from one game to the other, which most games don't do. Like they like to freshen it up as they go from one iteration to the next.
And I think that's kind of what we were saying with the worst, right? Is although these maps are iconic and they, them and familiar with them, it's like they've legit been around since like the first year of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and I'm not saying when I talk about the map pool being the worst, I'm not saying give me 7 fresh maps, right? Say keep 4. Keep 4 of your most popular maps that are your iconic staple maps, and then rotate the other 3 around them. I'm not saying we need a complete overhaul on the map pool. I'm just saying we need to liven it up a little bit to where you can't predict the veto, but every time so easily. Like, you just.
Well, that's why I think it's on the esports side, right? Like I would like to see some of these pro teams become just make them a little uncomfortable, Not every team needs to be playing on their favorite or best map. Like make them a little uncomfortable. That's fine. That's okay. They're professionals. They should be able to at least play on every map. But the maps are iconic, which you can't deny that. Last but not least, on one of the reasons why Counter-Strike is the best, Anuj, I think it's without a doubt the events and majors behind them, the history that's involved with them. It First off, not a lot of esports are old enough to have the type of history that Counter-Strike has, but Counter-Strike has also done a wonderful job. And I say Counter-Strike, the community has done a wonderful job of making certain events like a staple, like very meaningful. For example, we have Katowice coming up, right? That is a yearly massive tournament that happens every time in Katowice. They don't switch it. They don't move it around. They don't, it is the same thing. You have Cologne, that's the same every single time. You have certain events that aren't even majors, right? They don't even have to be, Katowice doesn't have to be a major to still be Katowice.
No, you're absolutely right. Like there's some events that, regardless of what's going on, people are going to tune in and watch, and sometimes they're even break viewing records. Right? I think we saw that with Cologne recently, or one of the whatever. What was the event that we just had that broke a viewing record for
Blast?
CS:GO?
I would assume Blast, maybe.
Was it Blast? Yeah, whatever it was. I mean, it's just like there's big events in Counter Strike that are meaningful, but the majors and most importantly are really like cherished in CS's history, right? Like the majors are not anything crazy in terms of money. That's kind of good and bad, right? Like I want to see them get more money involved in these majors because it's worth it. They deserve it in that situation. But the fact that they're still regarded and cherished with like it's everything. It really is a Super Bowl, and you don't see that with every esport. Like that you just don't get that same type of vibe, and it has created this rich tradition and history in Counter Strike of us being able to compare the best, like we do with um again traditional sports, right? Like which era had the best, and again, not a lot of esports do you discuss it that way. And in Counter Strike, you're able to do so with the Fanatics, the 87-0 NIP team, Luminosity SK, like Astralis now.
Oh, you can even
You know,
go
they
further back than just CS:GO. You can
you
even go
could.
through
You
Source
could.
and 1.6 and look at those teams, right? Team 3D, where did they stack up? Where did 1.6 SK Gaming stack up against these? Because the game, again, has just been relatively the same throughout so many years that, you can have that discussion.
Yeah. No, and I think like the majors, the history behind the esport, I think is one of the best things that Counter Strike has going for it because it's kept me engaged for so many years, right? Because they've made it meaningful. And again, I just don't get that vibe with every single major for every esport that it really means something.
That's why it's the boomer shooter, Anuj, because these same guys have been playing it for 15 plus years.
First major was 2013. Can't believe it's been out that long.
Yeah. Yep. It's like I said, it's just they've done a good job. And I say they, I'm not giving credit to Valve because if it weren't for, TOs like DreamHack, ESL, now Blast involved, PLG or PGL, whatever that one was for a little bit. I don't even think they're a thing anymore. But you have these TOs that, they also cherish the game. They're not doing it just for the sake of having a tournament or anything like that. Like they are wanting to give Counter-Strike its just due. And I think it kind of shows with the events and how they hold it up. And like you said, the weird thing is the majors aren't really that big of an event in the sense of like the glitz and glamour. It's truly just kind of about the play and the prestige of winning one because the prize pool, not that big.
That's all it is.
They don't do it like they do the TI where you have like an entire days leading up to it with this opening ceremony. And, it's not like Worlds where you get bands in to do an opening ceremony and create songs for it. I mean, you kind of just show up and play Counter-Strike. And I've been to a major. I went to the one in Columbus, the first one in NA. And I mean, going to it, there was no bigger, there was nothing leading up to it as like when we went to the Overwatch League finals. You're like, oh shit, this is big. You wouldn't really know if you went to a major compared to a normal tournament, other than the fact that it's a bigger venue and shit. But still, when the games start, you know. That's how you know.
It's about the game.
Like something feels different when it comes to a major and these big events with Counter-Strike. So
there's no hologram flying dragons going over the stadium. Like,
can I? Okay, that actually makes me want to put one more to the best list, which will give us 5 even for both best and worst.
Okay.
The reason, to me, first and foremost, that Counter-Strike is the best esport out there is because I can, without shame, suggest my friends watching it and not worry about being judged for some triple D female character with cat ears wearing a mini skirt and like
shooting
nipple
fireballs.
pasties being a main focal point. Like, I could show it to my normal sportsy manly man friends and not worry about them going, Tim, what the hell are you doing with your life with this League of Legends game or Dota?
What are you watching?
Yeah, like, why am I like watching anime porn but also playing a game? So I can do it without shame with Counter-Strike to say, hey, this is a normal game. Don't worry about that stuff. You can watch this and not worry about who walks into the room. It's great. So that's, to me, another reason why Counter-Strike is the best. Kind of bringing it right back full circle, too. It's just when you think of a bare-bone shooter, nowadays, this is the bare-bone shooter.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
All right, so there you have it. 5 reasons on Counter-Strike being the best and the worst. Like Anuj was saying, let us know what your reasons are, right? Do some of them the same? Do you disagree with some? Let us know in Discord, Twitter, email, DM, whatever.
And what game do you want us to do next? You know, and then we'll throw it in at some point. No set date on when that'll happen, but if there's a game you want to hear us do next, let us know.
Yeah. So I thought this was kind of fun, a little different, a little bit more laid back, less X's and O's type discussion. So
yeah,
it was good though. Yeah, let us know. All right, so there's that. Let's get into some e-news presented by Philly Esports. Friend of the show, Philly Esports. They've been on before. You know their names. Go check them out, phillyesports.net. They host online tournaments now. I'm sure when COVID is up, they'll get back to hosting in-person LAN events as well in the Philadelphia area. But for now, you're in luck because you don't need to be in the Philadelphia area to join these tournaments. They have monthly events ranging anywhere from Call of Duty to Rocket League to Smash, and you and your boys or girls can win cold, hard cash. So go ahead, check them out, phillyesports.net. Follow them on Twitter. Get the latest notifications on when their events are coming up, and sign up. Tell them TCR. Maybe you can even we'll sponsor your team. We'll if you want to do it, we'll sponsor it once. Because even better, I think the entry.
That was a good clarification there. That was needed.
Once. We will sponsor you once, and we take 100% winnings. That's how this esports org works.
This is like FaZe.
Yeah, we take 100%. You sign your rights to us. We own your face and likeliness. But I think entry fees are also like super cheap, like normally like 10, 15, $5. So we can afford that. We can afford that. Maybe we'll start your esports career. Maybe you win, and then you can say, hey, I'm here because of TCR. So phillyesports.net, check them out. All right, let's get to e-news. A little bit to get to here on CS side of things. Apex benches himself due to personal reasons. Navira will step in full-time for now.
Yeah, so Shox has taken over the IGL role, which, you know, generally hasn't gone well for them when he's had to do that. It's not something that I'm sure that he looks forward to either. But you know, when it comes to personal reasons, you never know how long it'll be. You just hope he you know, whatever it is, that it gets better soon and he comes back ready to go. But they suffered from it. You know, they had a tough time this weekend in Group B for Blast Pro. They got knocked out early. They got knocked out in the first round to losers to Evil Geniuses. And, you know, again, hope to see him back soon.
That's for Vitality, of course, for those wondering. who Apex plays for. Yeah, you know, the personal reason, it's always scary because it's in your head. You assume the worst, but it could just be that he needs a break. He just needs vacation, which, hey, take care of your chickens, take care of your mentals. We get it. So we've met Apex before. Obviously, that's how we got the liner to start the show off. So hopefully everything's doing okay. Mouse Sports sign Dexter. Where do I know him from?
Renegades. He's their IGL. So this is one step closer to Kerrigan moving over to FaZe. You know, his contract is about to be up here pretty soon. So Dexter will take over the IGL role for him, and you know, he did pretty well with Renegades. It's an interesting move. I mean, it's a good opportunity for him. So this is his moment to rise and shine, and hopefully he's able to do so.
Complexity win Group B over EG at the Blast Spring group stage.
Yeah, good, I mean, good event so far. Honestly, I feel like I'm always impressed with Blast. This group was well set up. Evil Geniuses played great, you know, to make it to the finals against Complexity, and Complexity was able to take it. This was a really good rebound for Complexity because they've had a tough time with stand-ins over the last year, it feels like, since OBO left. But Poison was back for this event. He wasn't stellar in it, you know, it was his return, but I think it gave them a sense of confidence, and like they didn't have to think so much with the new person. They could just kind of go play how they've played. And so this was a good rebound win for them to take the group and now qualify for finals. So it's awesome for them.
And this is just a little fun note I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you saw this, Anuj, with Elige and the drama between him and Depth Esport.
I saw something tweeted out, but didn't dive too far into it.
Yeah, so I mean, in short, from what I understand, is Elige was playing Pugs and was on a team with these guys or against these guys, and realized that they were on a team called Depth Esports in the Mountain Dew League. Right? They're not huge. They're you know, minor league at best. Well, they said some things that were not cool, racist, sexist things, and probably not the best things to say when you have one of the top players in the world in the room who probably has a good reach and connections. Well, Elige went to Twitter, got FPL to take notice, got their org to take notice, and now not only are these players out of FPL, they are orgless. So,
got to be a professional when you're getting paid, man.
Lesson,
like
hopefully lesson learned, you know. And that also, kids, see something, say something. Don't let people be dicks. Say something.
Yeah, like if you say something dumb, whatever happens to you, you know. I mean, it's on you. So those are your actions, and they, regardless of their age, they know better, right? If they're playing an MDL league, they know better. So.
And they've been on. We actually, a listener linked it in our Discord. They were on a podcast the other day, whenever it was. I don't know when it was, but the players were on a podcast, and from what I heard, not really taking responsibility of it, which also doesn't look good on your case, saying like, no, we're not racist, you know, stuff like that. So it is what it is. I just wanted to point that out there, that good guy Elige doing the Lord's work. In Valorant news, we have a new team on the scene. Warning, the name sucks. Version 1. This is the first, I think, don't quote me on this, but quote me on it if I'm right, the first time we see a solely Call of Duty League team branch out into other esports, as this is with the ownership of Minnesota Rokkr. So Minnesota Rokkr did not come from, you know, they're not like a FaZe or Dallas Empire, which is from Envy, things like that. Minnesota Rokkr was just a group of investors who went into esports with the Call of Duty League team. So this is the first time they're branching out into other games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, and this was probably the plan all along, if it was my guess. Not necessarily that it was going to be Valorant, but that their intentions were to branch out. I think Gary Vee is part of that ownership group too, and you know, that's cool. Yeah, name not so hot, but
terrible.
Maybe there's going to be a version 2 and a version 3 later on. So
that's a terrible name. It's like they accidentally were jotting down notes, and then they put version 1 for like a logo or version 1 for names turned that into the intern, and then the intern was like, okay, well, I'll file it down to be the official name. And then it's like, next thing they know, their name's version 1.
We're stuck with it.
I don't like it. In Call of Duty League, which by the way starts tomorrow, so if you haven't checked out our preview, go ahead and check that out. It was on last episode 305. We did our Call of Duty League preview. And also, after this recording, we will be doing our Esports Advisors show that we're posting on YouTube. Typically, will probably be every Monday or Tuesday, but this week we're just getting to it a little late, being the first one, where we will give picks of kind of our matches of the weekend and kind of give you betting odds and who we're going with on that. So if betting is fun for you, check it out on our YouTube. In other Call of Duty news, Anuj, I cannot believe it. Parasite is back with the London Royal Ravens. It's been rumored, but now it's official as their 6th man and will fill in for Zero, who is having visa issues at the moment.
Look, you better.
Hide
This
your
is
phones.
going to be your one chance to probably come back from this shit that you pulled, right? And he's a good player. I get that, but you have to worry about a lot more. Obviously, in this COVID setup, I don't think there's going to be much to worry about. But it's cool that he's getting a chance to get back into the league. I know we give him a lot of shit for what he did. What he did was really shitty, but I also think it's he's got that mentality of when he was playing in the amateur league, I'm better than all of you. I could do whatever I want.
That's why I don't like him.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just saying
he is easily the least likable person in COD. Hands down. You DM'd your teammate's girl during a match to hook up. And
there's no excuse that you can make for it. It's just I think he's just gotta. I bet if he plays well, people would forget. That'll be the hype around him. Is that he'll be
it's nuts.
Rewarded for that action if he plays well. Watch.
Nuts.
I know. I'm telling you. I just know the COD community. They like this dude a lot. I get where you're coming from, though. I'm on Tim's side of this conversation.
Yeah, I don't see how you can come back from it, but hey. And we discussed it last time in our preview, some of the teams with this Texas bubble. We actually heard from a listener on YouTube. So some of the teams that we know are in Dallas or in Texas, which I knew some were, but these are what we know for sure. 100 Thieves. So that eliminates the LA debacle that we were talking about. Optic, Dallas, obviously. Paris, Minnesota Rocker are all in the DFW. So I'm sure there's probably will be more if I had to imagine, just for the sake of, if you can do it, why not? So there you have it. So there's a mini, I don't know if it's necessarily a bubble in the sense of NBA, NHL level bubble, but at least they're all in the same area to where, I don't know, they'll still be online, but at least hopefully down the street.
How long are they staying in Dallas? Do you know? What is the plan here?
I don't know. I mean, I know last season some of the players were saying absolutely. I think it was Scump. Funny enough.
Scump, yeah, no way he's gonna do it. He's got a house, a girlfriend.
Yeah, Scump was I'm not doing a bubble. There's no way. So that's what I'm saying is maybe this isn't a bubble, but more of a team house that they're renting, and so it feels a little bit more like you're just hanging out with your buddies rather than being restricted to one thing. So
I feel like it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, I would have to imagine. So we'll see. Maybe we'll go. We'll just start knocking on houses in Frisco. And is this the Optic House? Is 100 Thieves here? Where are they at? We'll do that. We'll get back to you.
We can just listen for Jack's voice. We'll find 100 Thieves.
In FGC news, don't get a lot of that at the moment. Mike Hayes announced that he is retiring from Smash. So there you go. He was actually, I believe he was, if I'm not crazy here, I think he was with Chaos. So I wonder when they kind of ceased their esports side of things, did they did he was well, there she goes. Maybe it was writing on the wall. But anyways, best of luck to Mike Hayes. And in other news, CD Projekt Red, I saw the headline for this, but I did not read the story. CD Projekt Red of course, being Cyberpunk developer, was hacked. Is that?
Yeah, either somebody from the internal that's no longer with them, or somebody that had access, like took a bunch of data from them, including like future plans and things on other titles, and basically sent them a ransom note, which I don't have in front of me, but there was like a ransom note asking for them
Let me tell
to
you
give
something.
them.
I think Hollywood has painted this picture, Nuge, that ransom notes are really cool and always work. I don't think that
The
is
ransom email.
like it is probably like a 1% chance it's going to work.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna work.
Like, when was the last time you heard a ransom note actually work out in the person's favor?
No,
Like
it doesn't. That's not how it works.
you're trying to go toe to toe with like a huge developer here. They if anything they would just laugh at you and be like, "Yeah, go ahead and leak it. We had Cyberpunk out there for 7 years. We're good. Just go ahead and leak this now. We can last another 8."
Leak it. It'll draw hype, and then we can throw something new later on.
Yeah, we'll throw a
like,
splash screen on it, let people know what's up, and they'll wait 7 years. So it's okay. Go ahead, be our guest. E3 announced that this year is going full digital. So we will
Excited
have.
about that.
E3 is a classic. That's one of those, much like BlizzCon. In fact, I think we were actually planning on going to E3 this year, but or was it last? We were planning on.
We wanted to do it last year, then it
year.
got too close to the baby time.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's something we do in a year or two.
Yeah, E3 is
but-
definitely on my bucket list of things to do.
I wonder if Sony will get back into it now that it's digital.
I don't know. So many of those, like Nintendo, Sony, all these guys here, they just like. I think they realize if they can just do it all in house, anyways, why do it, right? Why bother?
I don't know. It's a big thing.
I
E3 is
It's
big.
it's a
They-
crime
it's
that
retreated
developers moved away from E3. They should have respected the sanctity of gaming and E3 and just let E3 have that moment.
Like, you don't have to make it as big. Maybe save a reveal for your own, but don't like try to get it canceled.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
don't abandon it. It's like it's the holy grail of gaming news a year. So, speaking of another big convention though, BlizzConline is what they're calling it this year. BlizzConline. Get it? BlizzCon with
Yeah.
online.
Thank you.
Announced that they released their schedule, Anuj.
Good news. You don't have to look at it.
A whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's funny because last week, I made the joke that it's just going to be 2 days of concept art. And
you're not that far off. You got some concept art. You got some like information panels, a little bit of Q&A here and there, and that's it.
yeah.
There's nothing to talk about. What is there to talk
No.
about? Unless they have a new title that they're like something that throws, there's nothing. We don't have to talk about Diablo 4. We don't have to talk about Overwatch 2. WoW is at the beginning of an expansion, so maybe you could talk about the next raid, and that's kind of exciting, right? As for us WoW heads, we'll see a little bit of information about what's coming up.
But that's like send it to give it to me in a memo. Like that's not.
I would have been
BlizzCon.
fine with the blue post,
Yeah.
Like I would have been fine with
Yeah.
the blue post.
And they're
so-
like, "What's next for Overwatch 2?" You just told me what's next. It's not coming out this year.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, what's next? You tell me. You haven't told me anything for a year and a half, so I don't know what's gonna happen here. But let's, whatever.
yeah.
Also, Pokemon World Championship they have announced in London, though it will take place in 2022. So last year they canceled it. This year they're calling it a postpone. What's the difference? I don't know, but that's 2 years in a row.
Maybe just the fact that it's getting like reawarded to London in 2022.
Yeah,
so
who knows? Who knows?
not canceling it,
But-
not looking for a new location. They'll just
2
move
years
it a
now
year.
without Pokemon World Championship. So
Devastating.
gone 2 things. So here they we're adding a pack opening category this year for who can spend the most money and open packs the fastest. That was a
Probably
joke.
do really well.
That was a joke over my bitterness for people spending thousands of dollars on Pokemon cards when people like me who actually enjoy playing the game and collecting them can't find a single pack anywhere in Nuge because all these neckbeards are spending thousands of dollars to open packs. But I digress.
Yeah, give it time. It's all going to come crashing down.
And I can't wait.
To reality. It's not going to go to nothing, but
all these morons who spent $10,000 to get an original booster pack, not even original, like they're spending money to even get new stuff out there.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get why people buy into breaks. Why are you spending $900 on one booster pack so you can keep one foil card that comes out of it when you could just spend the normal money and get the whole booster pack anyways?
Or just go buy that one card.
Yeah, like I don't get it. But hey, I guess everyone's got their kink. So all I'm saying is let real virgins play Pokemon still in their 30s. Okay? I don't need all these rich streamers buying up the packs so us peasants can't buy them. But I digress. Other late breaking news that I just saw on Twitter, Nuge, and I don't know if you'll care about this, but HBO has announced that they have casted Joel for the upcoming Last of Us series.
Yeah, it's the Ramsey girl from not Lord of the Rings.
Well, so yeah, she is playing Ellie, Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones.
From Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Don't
she was
know,
badass.
Don't know who that is.
She was like a little hoss. Like she didn't have a huge part. She had an important part though.
See, if she wasn't in the first 3 seasons, I don't know, because I've only seen the first 3.
She came later.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, though, who's playing Joel is Pedro Pascal, who played the Viper, the Cobra. He got his eyeballs smashed in by the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Him.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And he's also the Mandalorian, and he was also in the latest Wonder Woman movie.
How did you get that much time?
I don't... I mean, that is true. He's in everything. Oh, well, so he got signed because he's like the hot guy right now, right? Like people want him. I don't know if he's going to play Joel though. Like I don't see him. If you've ever played The Last of Us, Joel was like kind of like this more Hugh Jackman type guy, like rugged and
I agree. A little bit of a different look than what they portrayed in the game.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
So he was like a Southerner, like I don't necessarily agree with that. I felt like that was HBO just signing him because he's hot right now, but we'll see. Prong Attack says, I don't want to sell my only good kidney for Pokemon cards. Bro, I feel you. I 100%.
I'll be honest with you. Your kidney's not on the black market, probably not even enough to get you a pack. Like it's the full. It's
insane.
Unfortunately not.
It's insane. All right. So there you have it. That is episode 306 of the Centering Esports podcast presented by Alt. E-News presented by Philly Esports. We will be back Sunday night because nothing's going on. So we'll be back Sunday night for Monday's show. Talk some Call of Duty League Stage 1, Week 1, baby. It's back. Definitely talk about that. I think Katowice preview. I'll have to look at a calendar, but maybe Katowice preview at that point in time. And because I think it starts on the 16th, so that'll make sense. But we'll figure that out. A lot of esports happening now, boys and girls. We're in February. Player break, winter break, it's done. We are in it. So enjoy it while it lasts. Anuj, don't freeze to death. I'll need you Sunday.
If it's 1, we might be postponing because if this house can't warm up, I'm going straight into bed. Better pray everything's working in here.
And yeah, so that's it. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring, website tcr.gg. All that.
Some tea.
All that. What's that?
Time for some tea.
Time for some tea. YouTube, check it out. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.